Hello, you're watching the morning news with me, Toya Singh. We're starting the day by focusing on a story that broke our hearts yesterday evening. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has passed away. Remember, he led the country for 2 successful terms. Not only that, he's someone who's remembered for the economic reforms that he brought across the entire country in the 1990s. That's one of only multiple achievements that the Prime Minister had. Yesterday, tributes poured in, and today that is very much expected to continue through the day. We'll just walk you through the multiple ceremonies that are expected to take place through the day right here on the channel. We're also going to walk you through different tributes. Manmohan Singh, remember, served as India's Prime Minister from 2004 to 2014. He'd been undergoing treatment for age-related medical conditions and he passed away at the age of 92. Essentially, what had taken place is that he'd lost consciousness suddenly at his home. Then he was taken to AIIMS. His mortal remains have been taken to his official residence as we speak. Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge, other key Congress leaders visited Manmohan Singh's house late last night. In a message, the sitting Prime Minister Narendra Modi mourned the loss of one of India's most distinguished leaders. He praised Singh for his tireless efforts to improve people's lives and his significant contributions, as we told you a little earlier, when he was the finance minister back in the 90s. Remember, he'll be remembered as a gentleman politician known for his decency and courtesy, as the father of economic reforms in India, and the first and only Prime Minister belonging to the minority Sikh community that the country has seen. We'll just walk you through different tributes that continue to come in. Take a look.
Mr. Tharu, you worked as a part of his cabinet. And I remember many would call him, his critics certainly called him, a very weak Prime Minister. But during the cabinet meetings, what was the glimpse you got of him and your first response to this tragic story news coming in?
First of all, I owe a great deal to Dr. Manmohan Singh. He had a very major role in bringing me to politics along with Sonia Gandhi ji. And I have to say that he was always, to me, a visionary statesman, somebody with an extraordinary mind who saw far, saw with great urgent concern about the problems of India, of young people. He was somebody who really wanted to build an India that would outlast him and that would be so much better than what he had taken over. His humanity, his compassion, his wisdom, all of these were the qualities that I remember the most. Yes, he was a fine economist. Yes, he was an experienced bureaucrat, all of those things, but those are not the things that I remember. I think of him principally in terms of his humanity. A very, very good human being is gone, and it's a great loss for all of us.
You were very much a part of his cabinet, I remember. Your memories of Dr. Manmohan Singh, how big a loss is it, not just to the party, but to the country?
I think Manmohan Singh was a man who, really did more for his country than anyone that I know of because of his contributions to our economy, our growth, and the fact that he was Prime Minister for 10 years. And yet a man who was so humble, kind, benevolent, and a true joy to work with. So my condolences at his passing, but I think he's left a mark. And I remember he said once he had demitted office that a lot of allegations were put on his tenure, and he said that history will judge him more kindly than the present. And we see already the overpouring of emotions from people across the world. So Dr. Manmohan Singh was a man who really, I think, ushered the new India that we see today. It was all the fruit of his risk-taking appetite in 1991 when Narasimha was Prime Minister. So he's someone who I thoroughly enjoyed working, not just as Prime Minister, but as a man who was wise, who was open to discussions and debates, and he really gave a lot of space to some of us who are his much younger colleagues.
Huge loss to the nation. Dr. Manmohan Singh, the towering figure of India's liberalization drive, and also a man who helmed India's growth story in the first UPA regime, a two-time Prime Minister, no more, but his legacy everlasting.
Yes, it's a very sad day for India, and it's a very sad day for all the people who love the idea of India. And with my connection with him for over 2.5 years, I've had the honor and privilege to work with a man who could change the course or the way for our country, not even in terms of its economy, but the way a country should be run in inclusiveness, with respect to all the people who live in this country. It's very sad day today, and it's very difficult to express my any opinion about him. He was a towering figure. I still remember working with him, and the world leaders who used to call him for advice, which is not in public domain, but on many issues, people like Barack Obama, Angela Merkel, and other leaders used to call him for advice, and he was one of the figures who used to tell them how to go about the works which change courses of the nation. I still remember, about when European Union had problems. Ms. Merkel will call him regularly for his counsel. And as far as our country is concerned, I think he conducted himself with utmost decency and understatement. And he always said that I'm a small man who is sitting in a big chair. But some chairs, they become big when a small man sits in them. And some men who are small, they can't fill that chair. He leaves a legacy to our country, which we should cherish and we should nurture. And we should continue that legacy in a country where we have had a free market and a free thought process. He was a reformer when it came to our economy, and he was also a nurturer when it came to our society.
Okay, let's go over first to our colleague Pallavi Ghosh to understand a little bit more in this story. Pallavi, before we come to you to understand a little bit more about Manmohan Singh's huge impact on the country, the legacy he's leaving, if we could ask you first simply about anything that might be planned through the day today. Could you just first shed light on that?
See, it was a late night development, and we know that Rahul Gandhi and the Congress president rushed back, and they in fact went to the residence of the former Prime Minister around 2:15 a.m. The party, the family first, and of course the government, because it's going to be a state honor, will actually chalk out the program. As of now, officially, we haven't been told anything by the Congress about what really is the plan. All the leaders are rushing in over here. But very briefly, his mortal remains will be at his residence for some time. We are told that everyone is going to come and give to him, of course, not just party, but cutting across party lines. Possibility of the Prime Minister also going to Dr. Manmohan Singh's residence at Motilal Nehru Road. And then the final journey begins. The Congress, of course, is keen that, his mortal remains are also at the AICC headquarters so that the party workers can also pay their tribute to him. But, he's a former Prime Minister, so that protocol also swings into action. It's a 7-day mourning, which has been announced by the government. No public functions, no official functions are going to take place. And as we informed you, at 11 a.m. is the cabinet meeting, which is going to be brief, which is going to pay its tributes to him. And after that, I think we'll get some more clarity. And of course, finally, is that he is going to be given a state honor as far as his funeral is concerned.
Okay, Pallavi, if we can now talk a little bit about the immense impact that the Prime Minister, rather the former Prime Minister, left when he was the Prime Minister and at the helm. Right now, we've just seen S. Jaishankar's tribute pour in. And one of the points that he's made is it's not just Manmohan Singh's economic contributions, but also something we talk a little rarely about, his foreign policy contributions. Can we just touch on that for a second, Pallavi? Can you shed light on the Indo-US nuclear deal? It was seen as a huge strategic movement for the Prime Minister.
Yes. The fact is that because he's a former bureaucrat and he was also the RBI governor, finance minister from 91 to 96, and, he played a very key role as far as the World Bank and the WTO negotiations for India is concerned. He had that connect with those foreign dignitaries very naturally. So he was not a stranger to the world leaders. I mean, we are all aware remember he pivoted office in 2014 post the loss of the UPA 2. One of the most emotional messages, and it's considered to be very rare in diplomacy, where the then President Barack Obama had written a letter to him